Francis Ngannou, what is happening with him now? Because obviously he was promised now the Stipe fight. But now John Jones is obviously trying to make a lot of noise, trying to snatch that fight, and he makes some valid cases to some degree. It is the super fight that they were wanting to make happen and things like that. And if Ngannou knocks Stipe off, then you kind of squash that fight. I mean, not that Ngannou, John Jones wouldn't be a good fight. That'd be a good fight too. But he's obviously making some valid cases as well. But what's going on at the moment? Like, obviously he was promised that fight. Did he have any contracts been signed? Like, is that fight happening, or is it up in the air now, or what's going on?
So from what we were told by everybody within the UFC, that we're the next in line. We're just waiting on a date and time. Now I know they're meeting with the UFC tomorrow, and just to kind of go over some stuff. And I think it was just more of an informal dinner. But yes, all signs point to it being Francis for the next shot at Stipe Miocic, but we don't know when. So that would be the kind of the holdup. We were hoping maybe December, but it's all going to be predicated on Stipe and his timeline.
And I guess what gives you guys a little more weight now is after what happened yesterday, John Jones is starting to make these little comments. Should I go back to light heavyweight and reclaim my belt? Which I would actually prefer that on 2 counts, because obviously that would allow the Francis-Stipe fight to go ahead. But if he was to go back down to light heavyweight, I think then they could make the Izzy John Jones, because that was probably the one that I was more disappointed about potentially falling through now, because John Jones moving up to heavyweight, Izzy's not going to go to heavyweight. He'll go up to light heavyweight.
Right.
So you kind of feel like you missed the boat there. So I kind of wish that John Jones would actually drop back down. It allows Francis to get a crack at Stipe again, but it also allows the super fight between, which potentially I think that's a bigger super fight, Izzy and Jones over Jones and Stipe, right? So I just feel like that would actually make more sense.
I think they all make good sense, and you can make an argument for all those scenarios. But as far as I'm concerned, I think you can't look at Francis's heavyweight resume and not allow him to have a title shot. We've won 4 in a row, all by knockout, all within I think 2 minutes 40 seconds combined in 4 fights. Now, in my mind, John Jones is the GOAT. Can he call his shot? Sure, but I don't think he gets the right to leapfrog into a new division and immediately take a title shot. I think there's a lot of heavyweights in that division right now that are good matchups for him. I think Alistair Overeem comes to mind. That'd be a great fight, John Jones and Alistair. Even Jairzinho coming off a couple wins. So I think John is, if he decides to stay at heavyweight, he's going to be competitive at anything he does. I think if he bumps back down, I would like to see the Jan and John Jones fight. That's fresh. It's new. And then Blachowicz has been making a lot of good noise, man. He's doing a lot of great things. Obviously winning the title last night was huge. But I think what you've seen out of him in his last 4 fights, the guy's onto something there. And of course, Israel, if he decides to move up and fight John Jones, that is a huge super fight in the making. I feel like that's going to happen because they're both still, John Jones is still relatively young, and they have a rivalry, and I think it makes a lot of sense for those guys to eventually fight.
And especially because, as I said earlier, they're both now in that conversation of GOAT. Right, so you've got 2 GOATs,
right.
And that's never really happened because you never had Silver and GSP or whatever. Like now you've got this collision course of 2 potential GOATs, and I guess it's a way of going, okay, well, let's figure out who the greatest really is, right? And I think that's a massive one, like a real big one.